The old house groaned under the weight of silence. It was as if the very walls were whispering secrets of the past, secrets that had long been buried under layers of dust and neglect. The silence was not just an absence of sound, but a presence in itself, a heavy, oppressive force that seemed to press down on everything within its grasp. Dust motes danced in the slivers of moonlight that pierced the gloom. They moved like tiny spirits, caught in an eternal waltz, illuminated briefly before fading back into the shadows. Each particle seemed to carry a fragment of a forgotten story, a piece of the house's long and troubled history. Floorboards creaked a mournful song with every step I took. The sound echoed through the empty halls, a lonely symphony that spoke of years of abandonment. Each creak was a reminder of the countless footsteps that had once trodden these floors, now reduced to mere memories. Each room held the scent of decay, a musty reminder of forgotten lives. The furniture, once grand and opulent, now lay in ruins, covered in a thick layer of dust. The air was thick with the smell of mold and rot, a testament to the relentless passage of time. Shadows stretched and twisted, taking on sinister shapes in my mind. They seemed to move of their own accord, shifting and changing with every flicker of the moonlight. It was as if the house itself was alive, its very essence infused with a malevolent spirit. This house, with its secrets and its darkness, was my prison. I was drawn to it, unable to escape its grasp. It held me captive, its mysteries and horrors a constant pull on my soul. I could feel its presence all around me, a dark and oppressive force that refused to let me go. It was also my obsession. I had spent countless hours exploring its depths, searching for answers to questions I could barely articulate. The house had become a part of me, its darkness seeping into my very being. I was consumed by it, unable to think of anything else. The air itself felt heavy, thick with anticipation. It was as if the house was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Every creak, every whisper of the wind seemed to carry a sense of foreboding, a promise of something terrible yet to come. Something terrible was going to happen here. I could feel it in my bones. The sense of impending doom was palpable, a constant presence that gnawed at my mind. It was as if the house was a living entity, feeding off my fear and anticipation, growing stronger with each passing moment. I could feel it in my bones. The dread was a physical sensation, a cold, creeping chill that settled deep within me. It was a feeling I couldn't shake, no matter how hard I tried. The house had a hold on me, and I knew that whatever was coming, I would be powerless to stop it. He lived within these decaying walls, an old man with eyes that chilled me to the core. Old man. One eye was clouded, unseeing, but the other was a pale, watery blue, like a vulture's, watching, waiting. It followed me everywhere, boring into my soul. That eye, I tell you, was evil. It spoke of things best left undisturbed, of secrets buried deep within the old man's heart. It saw through my facade, recognized the darkness that festered within me. I couldn't bear it. I had to silence it. Night after night, I lay awake. The image of that eye seared into my mind. It was not just any eye, but one that seemed to pierce through the very fabric of my soul. Its gaze was relentless, unyielding, and it haunted my every waking moment. I could feel its presence even when I closed my eyes, a constant reminder of the fear that gripped me. A plan began to form, insidious and dark, a seed of madness taking root. It started as a mere whisper in the back of my mind, a fleeting thought that grew louder and more persistent with each passing day. The more I tried to ignore it, the stronger it became, until it was all I could think about. I knew what I had to do, and the thought both terrified and exhilarated me. I would rid myself of that eye, of the fear it instilled in me. It was the only way to reclaim my sanity, to free myself from its oppressive gaze. I could no longer live in its shadow, constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for it to strike. I had to take action, to confront my fear head-on and banish it once and for all. Each night, I would creep into his room, my lantern casting grotesque shadows on the walls. The flickering light danced eerily, creating twisted shapes that seemed to come alive in the darkness. I moved silently, my heart pounding in my chest, as I approached his bed. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the weight of my resolve pressing down on me. I would watch him sleep, his chest rising and falling with each raspy breath. The sound was both soothing and unnerving, a reminder of his vulnerability and my own impending actions. I studied his face, searching for any sign of awareness, but he remained oblivious to my presence. It was in these moments that I felt a strange sense of power, knowing that I held his fate in my hands. And every time, that eye seemed to be open, just a slit, watching me, mocking me. It was as if it knew my intentions, daring me to follow through with my plan. The sight of it filled me with a mixture of dread and determination, fueling my desire to see it closed forever. I could no longer stand its malevolent gaze, and I knew that the time for action was drawing near. My resolve hardened. Soon the eye would watch no more. I steeled myself for the task ahead, knowing that there was no turning back. The fear that had once paralyzed me was now a driving force, pushing me forward with unwavering determination. I would not rest until the eye was gone, and with it, the terror that had consumed my life. The plan was set, and I was ready to see it through to the end. The line between sanity and madness blurred. The old man's eye became an obsession, a constant presence in my thoughts. Sleep offered no escape, only nightmares filled with that piercing gaze. The house itself seemed to press in on me, the silence broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing. The air grew heavy, suffocating. I was trapped, both by the house and by the madness that consumed me. Then it began. A faint thumping sound, low and rhythmic, like a drum beating deep within the earth. Or was it within my own chest? It was the old man's heart, I realized, a steady, relentless pulse that echoed the madness growing inside me. The sound grew louder with each passing moment, a constant reminder of my own guilt. It followed me everywhere, a sonic shadow that haunted my waking hours and invaded my dreams. The thumping, thumping, thumping of his heart became the soundtrack to my descent into madness. The night of my plan arrived, cloaked in an eerie silence. The house felt different, as if it too held its breath, waiting. I moved through the shadows, a phantom with a purpose. The old man's eye, wide with terror, was the last thing I saw. But the sound, that dreadful sound, didn't stop. It intensified, a deafening roar that filled my ears, my mind. It was everywhere, inescapable. It was the sound of my own guilt, amplified 1,000-fold. The walls of the old house seemed to pulsate with the sound of the beating heart. It was as if the very structure of the house was alive, breathing in sync with my own frantic pulse. Each thud echoed through the empty halls, reverberating off the decaying wallpaper and creaking floorboards. The house, once a sanctuary, now felt like a living entity, a beast that had trapped me within its grasp. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My chest tightened with every breath, the air thick and suffocating. Thoughts swirled in my mind like a storm, chaotic and uncontrollable. Panic gripped me, its icy fingers squeezing my heart. I gasped for air, but it felt like I was drowning in my own fear. The floor tilted beneath my feet. It was as if the ground itself was betraying me, shifting and swaying like a ship in a storm. I stumbled, my legs weak and unsteady. The world around me spun, a dizzying blur of shadows and light. I reached out, desperate for something to hold on to, but there was nothing but emptiness. My carefully constructed facade crumbled, revealing the madness that lay beneath. For so long, I had hidden behind a mask of normalcy, pretending that everything was fine. But now, The mask was shattered, and the truth was laid bare. I was losing control, my mind unraveling like a frayed rope. The madness that I had kept at bay for so long was now consuming me, piece by piece. Driven to the brink, I confessed. The weight of my secrets was too much to bear, crushing me under its immense pressure. In a moment of sheer desperation, I let it all out. The words spilled from my lips, each one a dagger to my soul. I confessed my sins, my darkest deeds, hoping for some semblance of relief. I screamed, I raved, I revealed my terrible deed. My voice echoed through the empty house, a haunting wail that seemed to come from the depths of my soul. The confession was a release, but it was also a curse. I had unleashed the darkness within me, and there was no turning back. The words tumbled out, a torrent of madness and guilt. Each confession was like a floodgate opening, releasing a deluge of emotions that I had kept bottled up for so long. The guilt was overwhelming, a crushing weight that threatened to drown me. I was consumed by it, unable to escape its grasp. The sound, that infernal sound, finally stopped. The beating heart, the pulsating walls, the echoes of my own madness, all of it ceased. For a moment, there was peace, a brief respite from the torment that had plagued me. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. But the silence that followed was deafening, a stark reminder of the horror I had wrought. The absence of sound was more terrifying than the noise itself. It was a void, an emptiness that echoed with the memories of my sins. The silence was a mirror, reflecting the darkness within me, and I, a prisoner of my own madness, collapsed into the abyss. The weight of my guilt and the horror of my actions pulled me down, dragging me into the depths of despair. There was no escape, no redemption. I was lost, consumed by the very madness I had tried to hide. The abyss was my new reality, a never-ending descent into darkness.